The story begins in St. Roma's Village inside the building of an investigative journalist. In his office, Melford is visited by his employee J.J. Doherty. J.J. has discovered proof that the giant company BTH is doing something terrible, and she plans to reveal the truth, but she knows people will try to stop her. Suddenly, a gang called the Killer Nuts, who is also a rap band, storms into the office after J.J. escapes, but the evidence on the hard drive got destroyed. They shoot Mel over and over, but strangely, he keeps standing back up and mocking them. Finally, one of them fires a harpoon and knocks him out the window, killing him for good. From outside, JJ watches in shock as her mentor dies, and she runs away. BTH is controlled by Robert Garbinger and his assistant Kissy Sternovan. Robert is secretly working with gangsters, and his company is under investigation for dumping toxic waste into the city, which is making people very sick. His strange-looking younger brother, Fritz, deals with the gangsters and makes sure they do the dirty work for the company. When they learn that JJ is trying to expose the truth about them, Fritz hires the Killer Nuts gang to go after her. Winston goes works as a janitor at the BTH factory. He is a widower and stepdad to Wade. Since Wade's mother passed away, he and Winston haven't been very close. Wade dreams of performing at school, but when it's his turn to audition, he gets too nervous and leaves the stage. Winston visits the doctor and finds out he has a fast-growing brain tumor, giving him only about a year to live. He tries to use his company's insurance to help with the medical costs but learns it won't cover anything. Later at home, after hearing about Wade's failed audition, Winston tries to cheer him up by putting on a tutu and dancing, but Wade isn't interested. Winston attends a dinner event where Garbinger, Kissy, and other important people like Mayor Togar are present. He hopes Garbinger can help him with his health insurance. Instead, Garbinger has Kissy lead Winston away, pretending they'll talk about it, but they only kick him out and laugh at him for believing they would ever help. Winston sneaks into the BTH factory and dips his mop into radioactive sludge, then uses it to scare a coworker so he can steal money. At the same time, JJ is there collecting proof against the company. As both try to escape, Winston bumps into JJ and his stolen money accidentally burns up. The Killer Nuts then show up looking to kill JJ, but they shoot Winston in the face by mistake. Fritz gets angry at them for killing the wrong person, so the gang dumps Winston's body and his mop into a pool of toxic sludge. Winston climbs out of the toxic sludge, but he's now horribly mutated. His skin is green and blotchy, and one of his eyes has grown huge and black. When he goes back to his apartment, he sees Wade calling 911 because Winston never came home. Winston tries to show himself, but Wade panics and pushes him off the fire escape. Winston crashes onto the car of Spence Barkabas, a wealthy jerk trying to force an old woman to sell her shop. Spence shoots at Winston, but the bullets pop back out as his body heals instantly. Enraged, Winston charges at Spence and rips his arm off, leaving him screaming in pain, while the grateful shopkeeper quickly gets rid of Spence's contract. Winston hides out in the woods, where he meets a homeless man named Guthrie Stockins who doesn't care about Winston's strange new look. Determined to show Wade who he really is, Winston decides to return to town. When he gets there, he sees a group of right-wing extremists called the Nasty Lads protesting inside a fast food restaurant called Miss Meat. They're angry that the place used to be called Mr. Meat and are holding the customers inside hostage. Winston storms in with his radioactive mop and brutally takes them down, even ripping out one thug's intestines with shocking force. After defeating the gang, the hostages are saved, and people start calling Winston a hero. A news crew interviews him and Wade, watching on TV, instantly recognizes his stepdad's voice. The public views Winston as a hero, dubbing him the Toxic Avenger or just Toxie. This catches the attention of the Garbingers, as Robert knows that Toxie and Winston are the same person, and he blames Fritz for letting this happen. Fritz informs his brother that Toxie has a son. JJ goes to Winston's apartment and meets Wade after finding Winston's ID at the crime scene since she saw what the Killer Nuts did to him. She decides to help Wade rescue his stepdad, but before they can act, the Killer Nuts show up to kidnap Wade. JJ helps him escape and they run into Toxie on the street. However, the thugs shoot JJ in the stomach and manage to capture Wade. Toxie takes JJ into the woods because Guthrie claimed to be a doctor, but Guthrie is no help at all. Remembering his own healing powers, Toxie cuts his hand and lets his blood drip onto JJ's wound, which heals her instantly. The Killer Nuts are performing on stage when Toxie suddenly shows up and crashes their show. He starts rapping one of their songs, which makes their leader, Bud Berserk, furious. Bud pulls out a gun to shoot Toxie, but Toxie swings his mop and hits Bud so hard that it takes off part of his head. Toxie then brutally takes down the rest of the Killer Nuts in front of their shocked fans, even throwing his mop through one guy's head, which accidentally electrocutes the DJ. After defeating them, Toxie reveals to the horrified crowd that the Killer Nuts were actually hired killers who kidnapped his son, and JJ provides proof to back up his claim. Toxie and JJ try to go after the Garbingers but end up getting captured. Robert forces Toxie's blood to be taken so he can make a special serum for himself. After drinking it, he meets with Thad, Spence's father, who is already upset with him over how he runs his business. The serum transforms Robert into a terrifying monster with horns, claws, fangs, and thick hair like a Krampus. He then kills Thad and his men. Meanwhile, JJ encourages Toxie not to give up when he starts losing hope. Remembering that his urine is acidic, Toxic disgusts JJ by peeing on their chains to melt them and set both of them free. They sneak into the Garbingers' compound, scaring 2 guards into killing themselves before a big shootout breaks out. Toxic rushes in and sees Wade trapped inside a shack, but a stray bullet hits a gas tank, causing the shack to explode. Believing Wade is dead, Toxic is devastated, until Robert, now a full monster, shows up wielding an axe to fight him. Meanwhile, Kissy drinks some leftover serum, mutating partially. Toxic and Robert battle fiercely, with Robert nearly decapitating him. Just when it seems over, Wade appears alive, revealed in a flashback that Fritz helped him escape before the shack exploded. Wade begs his stepdad not to kill Robert, reminding him he's still a good man. But when Robert makes one last move, Toxic impales him with his mop and smashes him into his own car's hood. JJ starts the engine, shredding Robert to pieces. As Toxic goes to Wade, Kissy suddenly impales him with a plank, then slashes Fritz's throat. She turns to kill JJ, but Toxic tackles her onto spilled fuel, which ignites and explodes, finally killing her. Toxic wakes up in the hospital, where he's treated by the same doctor who once diagnosed him, and meets a blind woman, an undercover agent who was one of the hostages he rescued at Miss Meat. With Garbinger's crimes now exposed, though people still believe he's alive, the agent promises to cover up everything about Toxic's identity. Other corrupt figures connected to Garbinger, like Mayor Togar, are also exposed and arrested. The doctor then tells Winston that his mutation has actually cured his brain tumor, meaning he's no longer dying. Outside his hospital room, Toxic is welcomed by a crowd of grateful citizens. Wade is among them, and for the first time, he hugs his stepdad, showing their bond has finally healed. Meanwhile, Fritz is revealed to have survived, but he now uses a voice modulator and still faces jail time. In the end, Winston shares a heartfelt goodbye with JJ before moving on with his new life as the Toxic Avenger. During the credits, Toxic watches Wade perform at his school's talent show, feeling proud of his stepson. After the credits, there's a funny scene where Toxic gives an unnecessarily long explanation of how to make a grilled cheese sandwich. The movie ends with a playful message saying Toxic will return for a sequel if the film earns $1 billion in crypto. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the recap, hit that like button and subscribe for more. Share your thoughts in the comments, and stay tuned for our next movie.